Hello and welcome to the Metropolitan Elites. It's not a narrative, is it? It's an attempted brainwash. Nope, it's a pass on from all the PC friends on Facebook to try and make everyone that speaks up shut up. That won't make me shut up. We both know, let's be ridiculously politically correct just to keep you happy and pretend that the whole street, hundreds of people chilling in web cafes all hours of the day, and they all work at the same time because I can't prove their work hours.
That's us told.
So anyway, IDS has resigned as of yesterday at the time of recording. We'll be watching this a bit later than that. And he's resigned because?
He thinks the cuts to disability benefits that are going to go on,
It's too far.
Yeah, it's too far, it's a step too far.
Yeah, okay, fine. So a man of conscience has made a decision. Hang on a minute. What? Ian Smith? The man who's caused, everyone's going to be saying, who doesn't like him, going to say, well, hasn't he caused the death of lots of people? Not from war, just from taking their benefits away and not believing them when there's something wrong with them and all that stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting because IDS is widely lampooned by the left because he's a bit of a shyster, basically. He claimed all sorts of things on his CV, like he went to a prestigious university when he basically attended a day course and stuff like that. But maybe we've underestimated him. This is really clever.
Is this, on the one hand, is this a ridiculous push for, I'm going to be leader again?
I don't think so.
Or is it really because he's going to be going anyway?
I think there's something behind that. Maybe, everyone's discussing, is this really about Europe? I actually don't think it's about Europe. I think there's a part of it, I think he feels unfairly treated over the European issue. Brexiteers weren't given a fair crack of the whip in the government. But, what do we know about Ian Duncan Smith? Here's the guy who has savaged the poor, reduced in-work benefits for people and all that kind of stuff.
It's down to him, isn't it? That people have stuff taken away who shouldn't have had taken away.
That's the perception up until now.
Yeah.
But with this letter, there's a very real chance he has shifted all of that onto George Osborne.
Yes.
It makes it look like, actually, I was just doing what George Osborne told me to do.
Yeah.
George Osborne said we've got to make these cuts. He kept putting pressure on us to make these cuts, so really, don't look at me, look at him.
I don't know anything, I haven't even got a degree. This Oxbridge toff over here is telling me what to do.
This could be the moment George Osborne loses the leadership race for the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
Because he's not widely popular amongst the public.
No.
And this is just going to make it even worse.
And he doesn't have any charisma and any PR. He's great at playing the PR game, but he can't do it himself.
No. People say he's a great tactician. I don't see it. I really don't.
I think he does the Blairite thing, the spin thing, very cleverly. And we'll talk about the budget this week as well.
Well, this is fallout from the budget, isn't it?
Yeah.
So ultimately, what the issue, according to Ian Duncan Smith, is that the budget essentially wasn't fair. We were taking money away from disadvantaged people, the disabled, who had already, been through the mill,
By him.
and giving it to wealthy middle class with tax cuts and...
Yeah, I think the problem was that the link was made and it was almost admitted. We're taking money off them to give it to them.
Yeah.
Which they've sort of avoided.
It was widely presumed that it was done this to keep the backbenchers happy. Let's not forget this. This was the fourth budget in a year.
Yeah.
So we had the budget, the autumn statement, we had an emergency budget after the election, and now we got this budget. Couldn't really say a lot. There wasn't a lot to say, so it was a shoring up exercise, really.
Yeah.
And yet it's caused complete chaos. There was a mutiny in the back ranks long before Ian Duncan Smith waded into the argument. It was a complete shock.
Yes.
When this broke last night.
The thing is that why do we have this budget? Was this a budget that was due and the others weren't?
Yeah, this was due. This is
so
proper budget time. Yeah.
Right.
There's an argument that who sets? Nowhere else do we have such regular changing of course, steadying the ship. Normally you set a budget and set policy and you let it run for a couple of years before you review it. So it's a bit...
I am aware of people who defend the economic record, who say, I think, employment's gone up and things are looking good, so they're doing well. But he's missed every target. Everything he said hasn't happened. I'm going to get rid of the deficit before 2015. I'm going to get rid of the deficit before 2020. Saying, no, you're not.
But the OBR says I am.
But the spin is powerful. I read a thread in a rubbish message board arguing, yeah, but the IFS is just a left-wing think tank. The IFS? People, what? Because obviously, I don't know anything, obviously. It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, I think the real problem is the government really haven't got an economic policy. All they've got is ideas based around ideology. The idea that paying your way, making sure you pay your way, you don't spend more than you get in, is an economic policy is ridiculous. It's a truism.
Yeah,
you know, if you did a straw poll, let's thought experiment, a question time audience. Yeah, everyone, all the righties hate question time audience. They're always biased towards election.
Created by the BBC magically.
If you were to think about this honestly, yeah, if they did a straw poll of a question time audience, said who doesn't want this country to pay its way and cut its cloth according to its means or whatever you want to mean.
Yeah.
How many people would say, I don't want this country to pay. I want this country to spend more than
I want us all to be in debt forever.
Yeah.
Because it's not a policy, it's a headline.
Yeah.
It's one of those headlines. It's not one of those headlines, it's one of these headlines.
And it's been an incredibly shallow way of running the country. It is running by a headline. A carryover from New Labour year, and we're starting to pay the price for it now. Because supposedly, you keep saying we're in a much better situation to weather these storms. We're not. We're really not.
Yeah.
There's been no shift in the economy, no fundamental change in the way we make money. So it's all still based on financial services. So when HSBC threatened to pull out, the Chancellor's got to bend over basically and take it.
But surely by 2020, I'm sure they're counting on this, that just naturally things are going to look up by then, because it's just the way things are going to work, regardless of what the government. They must be counting on that.
Well, that's the only thing they can count
and if
really.
the economy goes up a bit in 2019, we fixed what Labour did 11 years ago.
Vote us in again.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be George Osborne. I'm pretty sure of that. I just don't think George Osborne's good enough.
Oh no, yeah. Well, remember who we got in as his aide originally in 2010? Was what's his face from the Lib Dems, wasn't it?
Danny Alexander?
No,
David Laws?
No, the good one. Who was the good one? The
only one Vince Cable.
Yeah, Vince Cable, who of course is gone.
Yeah.
So he's...
Who apparently is predicting bad times ahead, who predicted the previous crash.
Yeah.
Which neither the Labour...
Well, the Tories certainly didn't.
The Tories didn't. Neither did the Labour economic gurus, Ed Balls and Gordon Brown. They didn't do it. Who seem to be complaining about people who say we should get the economy right by investing.
Yeah, well, the Tories were calling Gordon Brown the controller because he was controlling the banks too much.
Yeah.
No, we didn't say that. No, change mind.
Yeah. So I mean, this IDS thing, it's quite a dramatic fallout from the budget. I mean, it is signs of deep divisions in the Conservative, which have looked fairly united up until now.
Yeah. Well, you predicted this, didn't you? You said, about 8 months ago, you said, right, next year there's going to be a shitstorm in the Tories, they're going to fall apart. And now it's
starting to happen.
Yeah. And this is a big one.
Yeah.
Bits have happened already, but this is a big one.
Well, this shows that, when David Cameron set his cabinet out, and he said this policy of not having constant reshuffles, which is actually turned out to be quite successful. Now we're seeing the downside of it. When someone actually resigns from the cabinet, it has a much more dramatic impact than when someone had been there for like 6 months or a year. So if IDS had only been in the post for a year and he decided to resign, it wouldn't be this now. The fact that he's been there, 6-7 years now.
Yeah.
It's big news.
Well, there is a question, isn't there, about what does he know that's kept him there?
Yeah, and if he's genuinely unhappy.
Yeah, if he was the leader, does that mean he had stuff on him? Did he have access to information? And that's why he's still there. And now, so he chooses when he goes.
I think Cameron's reply is quite telling. Cameron's obviously not very happy about it, and he's trying to. The whole purpose of that letter was to make it look like Ian Duncan-Smith quit over the European thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be much of it in the newspapers, that it has to be said.
No.
Yeah. That thread doesn't seem to have been picked up.
It's been played down, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is all about its benefits. Because realistically, there is sympathy for this point of view, widespread sympathy.
Exactly.
So it's a dramatic.
Yeah, it's huge. And of course, coinciding last week is for the first time you've got polls where the Labour Party are equaling or exceeding the Tories. Whether that's only a couple of polls Whether that's, I mean, you look at the fallout for the budget even before yesterday. They ought to be polling higher than them.
Yeah.
So so maybe it doesn't mean a lot, but there it is.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people after the budget were saying, "Well, this is incredibly brazen." George Osborne's really failed. The only reason he's getting away with it is because there's an incredibly ineffective opposition. And that doesn't seem to be so much the case now. Jeremy Corbyn is widely praised for his performance in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's slowly turning up the heat. I think he's playing the long game.
Oh yeah.
Actually, so while he obviously he was kind of polite and all that stuff at the start, but even now it doesn't really make a lot of difference what he does now. It's too far until the election.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in the next few years.
Yeah. And that's where, I mean, this is all happening early doors.
Yeah.
So I mean, by the time we get to the election, all this will be forgotten. I would imagine.
Yeah. And whatever happens after the EU thing, obviously they'll figure out what the hell to do from the result. Because either result, the Tories have got to figure something out.
Yeah, because there's going to be, if it carries on like it is, as bitter as it is, they're not going to be able to put it to bed after the result.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot like the Scottish referendum.
Yes.
So, it was settled until David Cameron came out and said that devolution in Scotland was tied to English votes for English laws.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it erupted again.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I changed my mind.
And now we've got Nicola Sturgeon coming out. Yeah, we're going to start making the case for. That's down to that morning. 1 hour after it had all been settled, David Cameron went in there and screwed it all up for a cheap political point.
Yeah.
And I hope people commentating start to pick up on that a little bit more now, because you don't get that from people who are interviewing him, because I don't know why. Mind you, ministers don't go.
Well, he only goes to people who aren't going to agree to it. That's
I mean, Andrew Marr,
he's better. I mean, obviously he's better than Andrew Neil with Tories, obviously, who loves them. But it's all very pally. And that kind of environment helps people like UKIP, obviously, because they say, look at those Metropolitan Lovies sitting on the sofa.
Been an interesting week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting few days, really.
Yeah.
All out from the budget. Okay, shall we move on to something else?
Yeah.
This is an interesting one.